Welcome to 2Cents FC. I'm your host, L. Johnson. Amobi's not with us today. He has a road trip, so I'm rolling solo today. So you guys follow the show. You know, each week we're talking with individuals from around the soccer world, learning about their stories and getting their unique thoughts and opinions. So this week we're joined by soccer pro, creative and entrepreneur, Warren Creavalle. We'll be getting into all about Warren, talking about his soccer journey and his creative and entrepreneurial endeavors, and also his plan and goals for the Black Star Initiative. So Warren, how you doing, bro?
Doing well, man. I appreciate you having me, man. We're gonna have to shoot a fine. I'm always waiting for not showing up on match day, man. That's poor behavior.
Definitely $200 off rip. So one thing that we like to do on the show, like just to start it off, is play a game called Two Truths and a Cap. So this is a game where you'll tell us 3 facts about yourself. 2 true, 1 would be a lie, and usually Amobi and I would guess, but since it's just me, I'll be doing the guessing. Amobi's down bad anyway. You know, I've been whooping them in the standings with this, so I get a little leg up, a little match in the hole, if you say. So yeah, whenever you're ready, man.
All right. My 2 truths in the cap. First, I spent my last off season working in a local cafe. 2, I own over 50 plants. 3, I spent one summer as an internship for Live Breathe Football.
For Live Breathe Football, okay. Live Breathe Football is Philly based. You played in Philly, so that could line up. I see a lot of plants on your IG, so it makes sense that you probably have 50. I'm gonna go with the cafe.
Going with the cafe?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the cafe.
Going with the cafe. Okay. You got it right. I'm not formally trained in the cafe. You know, I just put my thing, on my machine upstairs. You know, it's not.
Okay.
You know,
I see you. I hear you got a little skill with the latte art.
I'm I'm an abstract latte artist. You know what I'm saying? I can't teach this in the cafes.
Only in the streets, I feel you. All right, so first question we like to ask our guests is, when did you fall in love with soccer?
Man, my parents signed me up, when I was 4 years old. Both of my parents are Caribbean. And I just loved it, right away, honestly. I was always out there playing. Both my sister and I played, so we would have different days, of going to training, and I'd just be out there kicking the ball around whenever I could get out there. So it was love at first sight, as cliche as it sounds.
Yeah, that's dope. You mentioned your parents are Caribbean, so tell us a little bit about your background. Like, what's your origin story?
Yeah, so my father's from Guyana, my mother's from Grenada, and typical kind of Caribbean immigrant story. Both, immigrated to New York. That's where they had my sister and I, and moved down to the South, down to Atlanta. Grew up there, and still very close with all of my family, and I ended up going on to represent Guyana as my national team.
That's dope. So how was it playing for Guyana and playing, national team football?
Man, it's cool, man. It was, I think one of the dopest parts about it was, it was my first time going to Guyana, was, getting my call up for the national team. And it was my dad's first time going back. So I think, just getting to, a more complete picture of, things that I've heard about, and, stories he's told, and, going and seeing the different places in Guyana, and, just seeing exactly where not just my dad, but my family, has come from, and, see the contrast in what, our lives look like. It was a really, amazing experience, away from football. But, and on the pitch, it's a different world, you know. I know we hear about, you know, what CONCACAF looks like, and it looks like all those stories, you know. But it's a humbling experience, man. Like at the end of the day, it's a grass pitch, a bumpy one, albeit, you know, and a round ball. So it was a really cool experience, bro.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned that you've been playing soccer from young. You went to Fordham for college, and then UCF. Tell us about your college experience. Say it
Yeah,
again.
yeah. Started at
Oh,
Furman in South Carolina.
Furman.
Yeah,
My bad, Furman.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. The other half, yeah. Yeah, man. College was interesting, man. I obviously started off at Furman, and we had a really good recruiting class. You know, on paper should have been, you know, one of the best programs in the nation, and it didn't, you know, pan out that way. It was a lot of different frustration, and, you know, a lot of deep self-reflection, and interesting story, man. One weekend, a couple of my boys and I, we took my sister's whip because she was at school there as well, and we made a road trip down to Florida. Picked up a couple other homies on the way. Went to Jacksonville, Tampa, and it just happened to be one of my boys' birthday, Kevon George, and he was in school at UCF. And we're like, oh, we're in Tampa. We're like, you know, hour, 2 hours away. Like, let's slide over there. And literally, you know, I got to campus and I was like, yo, this is how you're living? This is what school needs to look like. And, you know, from there I was like, yo, I need more of an experience. I need to see, you know, beyond the pitch, you know, because if soccer's not going well, what else do I have, you know? So I just wanted a bit more of balance, and, you know, the team, we ended up being, you know, a really good squad, you know, competed nationally, and obviously that kind of allowed me to keep going on the trajectory of, you know, my dreams was to be a pro. You know, a lot of MLS teams come down to Orlando to, you know, do their preseason, which is our spring season. So I was able to go and train with different MLS teams when they came into town, and, you know, play against them as well. And that, you know, definitely exposed me to that level, and also put a few more eyeballs on me as well.
Yeah, for sure. So just to back up a tad bit, I kind of jumped from from youth days straight into college. But did you play for like any like academies, any like elite club teams, stuff like that?
The academies was kind of, you know, on my way out. So I played for the same club, you know, since I was 4, you know, the whole way through.
Okay.
Went through a couple of name changes, but right now it is North Atlanta Soccer Association.
Okay.
And you know, we had our big rivals was Concord. I don't know how familiar you are with Atlanta youth soccer, but yeah, I played for the same club growing up. I did all the, you know, I played for my state team, ODP, the region team as well. Went to, you know, all the region camps and did all that. So kind of a, you know, a typical, you know, upbringing in the youth club system at that time.
Okay, dope, dope, dope. Because you mentioned, getting a chance to play with or trade with other MLS teams while you're in college.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering if you're connected to any of the academies during that
Yeah,
time. So.
no, that was before my time. You know, there weren't many, if any, MLS academies at the time.
Yo, so look who decided to join us. We got Amobi here, decided to pop in. $200 fine off rip for you. I'll send you my cash app.
Hand up.
Spinning the wheel. Spinning the wheel.
Yeah. So we were just talking about, Warren's college days. He went from Furman, got a taste of that UCF life, that massive. I don't know if the massive pool was there when you transferred, but it's one of the biggest campuses in the country, right?
Yeah, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, amount of students at the school. So yeah, it was a stark contrast going from around like 3,500 students at Furman to like 55,000, 60,000 at UCF. It was day and night, man, in a good way for me.
So what was the transfer process like? Because, a lot of college athletes, especially with NIL and different things, transfer portal, how did that come about?
I was telling Elle, I went down there on a random trip and, was able to kind of see the school. I know, Kevon George, he was down there playing and, was there for his birthday and, got to see what the school was about and was like, yo, like, I might need to make this move, and was able to, get a little taste without, breaking in, NCAA rules on even coming after me. But the transfer process, I asked my coach at Furman for my release, to be able to transfer. And, it's up to them if they want to give you a release. If they don't want to give you a release, you can still transfer, but you have to sit out a year, even if it's outside of the conference, which it was. And after, some deliberating, and talking with the team captains and all of that, he granted me my release. And I was able to kind of, go from there. And, I started going on visits during the summer while I was playing PDL and went to Oregon State, Missouri State, talking to different, schools that, weren't really throwing money, 2 years ago, but now everybody's got a full ride, So it was an interesting process. But UCF was the first place that I visited, officially. And I just really trusted Kevon's word, like, yo, like, you're the missing piece. Like, we can do something special. And I was like, all right, bet, let's do this. And, we were able to do something special. It was a great experience. And is, a big reason of where I'm at today.
Respect. Okay.
All right. So you go from UCF, you mentioned you play in PDL, Carolina Dynamo, right?
Yep.
And then MLS Super Draft comes. Tell us about that process. What was it like? What was the, pre-process like?
Yeah, man. So going into the draft, before the draft, there was a combine. They invited X amount of seniors and maybe a few underclassmen that had signed either Generation Adidas deals or, senior deals already. And, I almost didn't get to go because I was injured at the end of my college season and kind of had to finesse my way into going because they told me I couldn't go. And had to get cleared, had to do physicals and, pass the different tests. And already I was like, man, like, I just feel like I'm gonna have to force my way into, this dream. I packed up all my stuff at school, didn't register for any classes, just didn't do anything. I was like, this is the way we're going. It's gotta work. And got down to the combine, played decently well, scored a goal, just did my utilitarian duties on the field and ended up speaking with a few different teams, but none of the teams that I spoke with actually ended up drafting me. And Houston, which was a surprise to me because I hadn't spoken to them, they ended up taking me in the second round.
Dope. So tell us about like playing in Houston, living in Houston. I know Houston has a rich like immigrant culture and, seemingly they don't tap into that as well as they could. So tell us about your experience playing there.
I lost you on that first bit. Can you repeat that, bro?
Oh, I was saying, tell us about your experience playing in Houston. I know they have a rich immigrant culture, a large Nigerian population, Asian population, but seemingly they don't really tap into it as well as they could. So tell us about, just your time playing out there and, living in the city, catching the vibe.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, and I think to be fair, it's probably a lot easier said than done. I don't know if, we've seen many, clubs take that, the population that's, super prevalent and translate that into, representation at the games. You can go to the biggest Mexican, supported cities and, bring in the superstar and it's still not going to look the same as when Mexico's in town playing, But at that time, Houston, they were coming off of, a couple really successful seasons, MLS Cup championships, MLS Cup appearances. So there was a lot of support around the team and they were just, we were transitioning into having our own stadium. And there was a lot of buzz, just in general around the city as being, one of the most successful teams in the city. Obviously, you have the Rockets and the Texans. And at the time, I would say that, there was a lot of support from, the Latino community, just being, a soccer team, just being such a big soccer city, and soccer state in general. Texas and the youth soccer there is crazy. And I think it might have shifted away from that, or maybe they didn't, or they took that support for granted. And, the team, doesn't start putting results together, and that kind of dies off, the excitement of the winning. And, maybe people start reflecting like, well, maybe they don't need our support. They weren't doing X, Y, and Z to keep us there. So nobody knows the answer, but that support, I think, was there from the Latino side. The Nigerian side, I think that's a different discussion. I don't know, any markets that have really been able to get a real grasp on that. Amobi, maybe you could speak to that.
Yeah, Amobi got the marketing plan.
No, I mean, yeah. Considering Houston is like second Nigeria, they could have done some more things, but like you said, Houston is very spread out, and there's no blueprint, in terms of other MLS clubs that have really dove into like, all right, we're going to tap into this foreign community that's in our region, and this is what we're going to do. So, I've talked my stuff on Twitter a little bit, but like you said, you've played there, you've been there, and it's tough. What I do like that you said is that when you're winning, it's a little bit easier to market to the community. So when you first got there, you kind of had a young contingent, you, Will Bruin, Kofi. Talk about that experience, with youth development being so prevalent, coming into Houston, a historically experienced squad. How was that like breaking in?
Man, it was really tough, man. Obviously I know you knew a lot of the young bucks on the team, myself, Kofi, Dixon, Will, Brian Ownby. We had a pretty, strong young contingency. And I just remember being in preseason and, coming in without a contract. And, I was looking at it like, this is low key my season. Like I gotta really shine because, a lot of the, older guys were away on national team duty. I think Kofi was away, for the Olympics or qualifiers, and just it was a lot of gaps in the team, and a time for me to be able to get some minutes because I was looking around like minutes might be coming, far and few. So it was really tough to break into such an experienced team, but I think, it puts you in an environment where if you can break into that, you are proving yourself amongst the league. And I felt, really comfortable when I was finally able to get in games because our competition was so, stiff in training. Yeah. We always played old versus young in training, and they would always, for the first half of the year, they would just kick shit out of us, just, they'd be whooping stuff, and finally the tide started turning. I don't know if the old guys will admit it, but yeah, man, finally started to catch a wind and, really establish ourselves. And I was able to kind of break through a bit.
Nice. Do you have like any advice? Obviously a lot of people look up to you around the league for these young players that are breaking in. Like it's a little bit different than when we came up, but what advice would you have for them in terms of like, grasping that spot and like holding on to it?
Yeah, man. I mean, my number one thing is, consistency and, how you train. I think that's probably been the thing that's, enabled me to have a long career. I was never the star of its team, but, my training habits, that was able to allow me to always be ready and allow me to, be trustworthy when it came to games. Coach always knew he could, throw me in. So as far as, on the field, that's, the number one thing that I harp and, not really taking days off, mentally training.
No, I love that.
But yeah, like you said, it's a much different time, bro. It's a much different time. When I got to the league, it was more about fitting in.
Mhm.
You can't, and you can't have, this outgoing personality. You just wanted to fit in, be quiet, and I came in the league, I had a flat top, so that wasn't really what the lane I was going for. I was
Yeah.
I was there, stand out a bit, but it it looks different now because I feel like, in the age of TikTok and the age of, social media, that's championed now. That's pushed by the team more, it's
Yeah.
getting more eyeballs. Like, hey, look at what our young bucks are up to. They're doing these dances on the team. We would have got killed for that, bro. It's a different game now.
No, that's facts.
It seems like there's a big emphasis now on building individual brands. So you're starting to see a lot of the younger players really focus on building their individual brands. It's something you probably haven't seen, or we probably haven't seen as much in MLS, in years prior. But speaking of building brands, you have your own brand as well, with your namesake. You're creative. Have you always been kind of in that creative lane, like even coming up through school?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, I think it all kind of started, I just always had an appreciation of style. And, when I got out, when I was old enough to drive, I'd always go and hang out at the, the local streetwear stores downtown Atlanta, the Wish and Standard when it was still around, and, just kind of window shop. And when I got out to Houston, I would, kind of do the same thing out here. Shout out to the classroom. And, I was always in love with, the expression of style. And from that, came, visions of things that, I wanted, but didn't have. And it's like, if it's not there, you got to create it. Right. And I basically said, all right, well, I gotta learn how to create it. I got to learn how to execute what's in my head. And it kind of started off as a partnership with myself and my cousin. And, he had the technology illustrator, and I would, tell him, hey, it needs to look like X, Y, and Z. And I was like, nah, like I need to get on the ground and be able to, really, do it for myself and just learn everything. And, that all became contextualized by photography, obviously being on the road and, really just getting a more holistic view of what, my life looks like and, off the field and, the different narratives that, are seemingly important to me at any given time.
So you learn how to graphic design and all that stuff, like self-starter?
Yeah, bro. Yep.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, and one of my truths at the beginning of the show was I was an intern with LBF one summer in Philly. So shout out to Boone. I kind of shadowed him one summer and was kind of an assistant creative director, but that was definitely a jump in as far as efficiency and different methods of designing, just to be able to get in there day in and day out with another creative and designer and work on different stuff. But yeah, all kind of self-taught, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And shout out to Aboon one time. But speaking to that, you guys did do match fits for a little bit. So I don't want to call you out. I don't want to get you in trouble with the MLS family, but top 5 most stylish players in MLS. Who you got?
Top 5 most stylish players? Man. Oh, man. I feel like I'm going to struggle to even get to 5. But let's try. I think, your boy Kellen, I feel like kind of, has his foot on everybody's neck. One that might be under the radar, and I don't know if I said this on Match Fits, but Harris Medunjanin is, I don't know if it's surprisingly, but he's got, really good style as well. Ashton Morgan, of course. He's in Salt Lake, another one to the homies on the brand with me. Who else do I see killing it? It's hard to say because I'm not really paying attention to people's fits on game days. It's really more in the locker room. I don't know. I don't even know if I could round out this list for you, dog. Any names that I'm missing? Who you thinking?
Nah, I mean, yeah, you got Kellen, Ashton Morgan. I mean, obviously he's part of the Creavalle team family, but yeah, he's up there for sure. I didn't know about Harris Mdunian. I like that shout. To be honest, I would say young boy Emma on FC Dallas. He's all right.
God, fancy. I haven't even seen
when he's not focused on just rocking designer. You got some fits.
Okay.
Besides that, yeah, it's really tough.
Yeah,
and I would say you, but you decided to retire and retire prematurely.
Look, so. I don't use the R word, you know what I'm saying? But
you decided to take a sabbatical. We'll say that.
Yeah, we'll say that. Yeah, man. And I know MLS, they do their featured fits, maybe once a week or something. And I haven't been blown away. No shade to anybody. It looks, everybody, looks like playing dress up, but it's cool. It's cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of fits, you got that hoodie you rocking from your Lone Wolf collection. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, man. So this one was a long time coming, man. It started a few years ago. Talking with Ash and Steve, just about what our kind of mindset is, and it was kind of centered around that balance between being on your own and being in isolation and thriving in that, paired with those moments of necessity. You need your community, you need the ability to collaborate, and how both are super paramount, right? And that all got magnified with this pandemic, obviously. In that need for community, and so that's why it was called the Lone Wolf Pack. Kind of serving both ends of that, and it was a really cool opportunity to kind of have all my homies. For my bachelor party, we took a trip out west and did a little RV tour of LA, Joshua Tree, Palm Springs, and San Diego and Tijuana. And, basically gave everybody a camera, said, all right, you're filming, this is your lane for the weekend, get as much content as you can. Had a video cam, film images, did some shoots out there, but that essentially became the rollout for this drop that, happened a year and a half later.
That's dope.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, that video, I asked you, I was like, yo, who was on the beat for that? That was sick. The rollout for that campaign was really nice. And obviously all the apparel that you guys launched is A1. So
man, I appreciate that.
Great stuff on that.
Yeah. You've even done some you did a shirt for, Black Players for Change. Tell us how that project came about.
You say for the Black Players for Change?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, so in the early stages of, deciding how we wanted to, just get our message out to the world, to, the league, people that were able to, impact on our platform. The obvious, one of the big points was do it through apparel, right? Are we going to have some kind of demonstration, and what do we want our messaging to say? And one of the big points was to have a Black creator do it, and to kind of keep it all in the house. And the group tapped me to be able to design that for the group, and that's kind of where all that started. And there was to bring a group of over 100 Black players together and get all aligned on 1, 2, or 3 messages, was a task in itself. But obviously we all had the same goal, and it was about finding the right way to say it, finding the right way to present it. And, I think it all came out, really unified, and it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a very powerful demonstration. And the t-shirt definitely helped to amplify that and keep the story going, beyond that, once it went on sale, and, people can support in that way as well.
Yeah.
You also have a home goods line with your wife too. So keeping entrepreneurship in the family. How important has entrepreneurship been for you as a parallel to your playing career?
It's been amazing, man. I think it's really served as, if nothing else, an outlet for, any creative endeavor that I want to, execute on it. Growing up, you always have school and soccer. I didn't really, want my mind to turn to mush or really get too dialed in on soccer when I've never been 100% in, focused on just that. Because you can kind of lose yourself in the game and you start overthinking things, and it kind of loses its essence a bit. So if nothing else, it was a way for me to balance that as well, and just have fun as well. The schedule, allows for you to have a good amount of downtime. And Amobi, I know you're big on preaching, get started now. And I think a lot of the work that I've done, in my playing career, has benefited, the transition that I'm in, post playing. But yeah, it also, serves as a portfolio. This is my work of, work that I've done with this budget in this time frame, under these circumstances, take a chance on me to do X, Y, and Z. So I think it touches on a few things for me.
No, yeah, I love that. Obviously, it's a testament to, obviously the big mantra right now is more than an athlete. Can you talk about some of the synergies around, sports, being an athlete and entrepreneurship? Because a lot of times there, people say, if you're not all in it, then you won't be able to perform at a high level. And obviously you have done that tenfold. But can you talk about some of the synergies from, being an athlete to some of the things that you're doing on the entrepreneurship side?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I think a lot of my, principles and, how I operate come from being in the locker room, how I interact and collaborate with, teammates. And, it's a direct representation or reflection of, how I operate when I'm working with, friends, other creators, businesses. I use a lot of the same principles. And I think earlier on, especially when, I first got in the league, when you first got in the league, it might have been more frowned upon, but it's a different day and age, and you're seeing a lot of athletes take ownership of their brand and, push it to new levels. And, it's, you see the LeBrons, you see the Stephs. Like it's not just for one type of player anymore, right? Exactly. So it's accessible to everybody. It's a smart move. The shelf life of an athlete is only so far. So I think it'd be wild for people to, want athletes to just stay in this lane while they're playing, and when you're done, what are you left with, So there's absolutely, synergies and a lot of reason to be more than just an athlete.
No, I think that's an important lesson. And obviously, the fact that you've kind of touched on different passions of yours across the board when it comes to entrepreneurship, and not just, photography or apparel, but the home goods stuff. I got some of those candles, and I'm saving one, but I already used one of them. I'm saving one.
I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, it was in addition to that, it was really cool to, collaborate with my wife. I think that even that looks different, as far as you're used to working with teammates, you're used to working with, your boys in your brand. And, that was kind of a cool season where we were able to kind of come together and bring our respective brands together, to collaborate and to come out of that without, any drag out fights or anything, I think was amazing to do. And, something that, it's good to have, to keep it in the fam.
most def.
Yeah, I was checking those out. I may have to copy me some. Are they still available?
We're gonna bring some back. I'm gonna bring some back this holiday season. That's the goal, at least. I gotta get this fulfillment game, man. It's last year it took over the whole apartment, so we'll see.
Okay, for sure.
Warehouse
So earlier,
or what?
What's that?
I said warehouse soon come or what?
We'll see, dog. We'll see.
Also, are there any other additional products you guys plan on rolling out? Besides candles.
We'll see, bro. We'll see. Obviously we're both new parents, and that's something that we weren't necessarily entrenched in with the last drop. So it's all what Naomi will allow these days.
Yeah, 100%. She's the boss now.
Absolutely.
All right. So earlier in the conversation, we were talking about, being able to tap into local communities. So tell us about your work that you're doing for Soccer Ventures and, the birth of the Black Star Initiative. How did that come about?
Yeah, man. I think how it came about was I was talking with Heath Pierce one day and just kind of getting his insight on, his transition from being a player and stepping into kind of the creative industry. I think he set a really cool blueprint on, how it can look. And, I really respected that. So he was one of the first conversations that I had, at the top of the year, maybe even last year, actually, just getting ready for, what could be happening next and, just getting my feet wet. And then the conversation, he was like, hey, man, we actually, have a couple of things going on our way, if you want to take a look at that and, we can find some points of intersection. And one of those was the Black Star Initiative. And they were in need of, visual identity, logo work, and, just toolkit and all those different things, right? And I was able to get together with Demetrius Umfroy and, kind of lock in on the creative direction and, come kind of pair, the mission of Black Star, which was, allow access and, just empowering Black Americans to the game in ways that have been lacking, historically, and just break down barriers that have plagued our community, historically. So taking that and creating for a cause that is near and dear to home was an opportunity that I absolutely jumped at. It was a really cool kind of, I think it was the first project that I worked on outside of being a player. And, it was just kind of a cool transition and a cool starting point for our relationship, which then, grew into me being an ambassador for the initiative, which, is also leading to more creative work with them. So it's been a really kind of cool snowball with FSV, and just the work that the group is doing, is really important to me, and is near and dear to my heart. As I said, I was fortunate enough to be able to play at all the different youth levels, but I was this close to not being able to play. If it wasn't for my grandmother stepping in at one point saying like, no, the kids need to keep playing soccer, who knows where my path would have gone. So it's something that is, a lot of people can go a lot of different ways at those young ages, and it's something that's important to me.
No, that's amazing. Can you even touch on that a little bit more, like your own personal experiences growing up? Probably be one of the few Black kids playing soccer. The stuff that you did with after school FC. Am I getting the name right?
Design FC.
Yeah, Design FC.
Design FC after school.
And then now I feel like all your experiences have led to this moment. And can you just talk about the impact that you guys plan to have or hope to have with Black Star Initiative?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So obviously playing this game in this sport, traditionally the the higher you go, the deeper you get into it, the more expensive it gets. And I've seen, excelling at a young age, there came a point where, there was a decision that had to be made, on the part of my parents, like I just touched on, that could have gone one or two ways. And, thankfully my grandmother, who, also immigrated here from Grenada, was in a position to, help us. And, she didn't go to school. She, was working as a housekeeper, for, a family who's actually become, family to me now. And, it's just a very random, it's not a set out path, it just kind of happened. So without moments like that, you could have gone any way. So that's why, I look at, programs like this where, and Sekou Thornell, who runs Kit Boys, I was chatting with him. He's part of the initiative as well. And he's telling me about how his club folded because they weren't able to get funding. And, how he was able to, push on and play somewhere else and, ended up being able to go to college and still get a scholarship. And, but again, for a lot of other kids that weren't able to do that, it was a different story. And that's led to work, with, Design FC, why, I was able to, kind of champion that and, work with those kids as well. And, talk about outlets that weren't exactly sport, right? Everybody has who's going pro, but giving access to different lenses and, there's other ways you can be involved in, in and around the game that isn't necessarily playing and that, doesn't stop at soccer, obviously. Just kind of creating as many avenues for these kids, I think is the name of the game. And I think within the past year or two, you've seen a lot of different, initiatives and companies pop up, in this space. But I think the one thing that's gonna, set, any of these companies apart is follow through, right? And that's, one thing that we want to harp on with Blackstar. You don't want to just, be like the Super Bowl and, come into town and, it's over, you didn't, you leave a mess and, you have your fun and, you move on. I think it's about, building sustainable systems and, being able to kind of be reliable and be accountable and, not just in it for the, this is the wave, right?
Yeah.
Man, it's been kind of a snowball.
No, it's amazing. And I love what you said. It's like, it's more than just optics because this is what's, the in thing right now is actually getting in, planting the seeds and, watching them grow.
Exactly.
And from that perspective, I know a lot of people have, the solutions and the answers and whatever it may have you. But when you think about, growing the game and giving access, do you think it's more about exposure or do you think like, the urban community like actually doesn't like soccer? Like, or is it more about we just don't know, like we're not exposed to soccer like we are basketball or football?
I think it's both, bro. It's both. It's all of the above. I think you gotta really just chip away at all those aspects. One, the exposure. In the Black American community, soccer is not as endemic as it is in in the Caribbean and African communities, right? So there's a bit of a bridge. It's not necessarily on in your house. It's not championed by your parents necessarily, but you talk to a lot of your friends that might have grew up playing basketball, football, whatever. You talk to them and be like, oh yeah, I used to play soccer. So I think there are a lot of touch points early on with the game, and it's about retention and it's about perception, right? Growing up, you're seeing the Kobes, you're seeing the MJs, you're seeing the AIs, just they're cool, they're larger than life, and that's the perception that you see, and that's who you want to be. And you're not seeing those same stars come off the pitch, right? You're not seeing people in that same light. So it's definitely, I think that's one part of exposure, and it being cool, right? So there's a lot of different angles and a lot of different aspects that factor into why I think it's not as prevalent as it could be.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, who do you think has the potential to be that Kobe or that AI for American soccer? Like somebody these kids can kind of see as a potential like idol or somebody to kind of look up to in the game.
Right now, I mean, I think guys like Weston and Alphonso Davies. I think those guys, playing at obviously top leagues in Europe, and have these big personalities as well. I think that's kind of what it takes, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, even I would say even this last little stint in camp where with West getting sent home, I think even stuff like that plays into that image. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I think that's also publicity, right? That's exactly. In the game, and it's like something that's the old guards like, it's unacceptable, and it's like, well, it happens, and we move,
Yeah, we move, exactly.
He came back with the blonde streak. You knew after that. He's leaning into it fully.
Yeah, bro.
That's a great point. I mean, even just yesterday, Alphonso Davies and the Canadian national team, like linking up with Drake, like that stuff matters.
Exactly. Got a Davies jersey on a Drake story. That's big. That's big.
So.
All right, let's jump into a couple of rapid fire questions. So going back to the creative side, like what would be your dream Creavalle collaboration, like either with a person or a brand?
Ooh, I think linking with Pharrell, man. I think Pharrell has been like the tried and true like GOAT of this creative space, man. Whatever he's attempted to do, he's killed it. And I think he's one of the people that I look at and I'm just like, how are there enough hours in the day for you to do exactly what you're doing, and not be burned out and have barriers in place. He talks about how at a certain time, like, all right, this is family time, like, and that's something, obviously, having a family that that I respect and want to be able to navigate that balance as well. So for sure, it'd be about more than collaboration. I'm picking his brain.
So you doing the money or the dinner? If it was Pharrell.
What's the money again?
Like 500K or something.
500K or dinner with Pharrell.
500K. Sure. Get 500K at one time. I'm saying I might figure it out on myself.
No, for real.
Make it work on my own.
Yeah, like I've been watching you from afar. I'm gonna duplicate your moves. I'm gonna take this money though.
I'm gonna follow some podcasts or something,
I'm gonna watch other Tone. Don't worry.
For sure. So when you were playing, like what was on your pre-match playlist?
What was on my pre-match playlist? A bunch of hip hop, turn up songs, just fat up tempo. Got some, ASAP. Schoolboy, Hands on the Wheel was one of my go-tos. A lot of Atlanta, like 08 or probably 06 to 2010 turn up music, like a lot of
Lil Jon.
Lil Jon, some Soulja Boy, Travis Porter, Roscoe Dash.
Roscoe Dash, what's up?
Young LA, I just, it puts you in the turn up, but it's a good vibe, you're feeling a little
Young
loose,
Dro.
confident, you know what I'm saying? Things like that.
All right, if you could only listen to one song before a match for the rest of your career, what would it be?
One song? That sounds like I wouldn't want to do that. You would hate the song after a few matches, but I think Hands on the Wheels probably got the most spin for me. At least it's got
Okay.
Or maybe something with just 1,000 different artists on it, so some variety. One Train, maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Amobi? If you can only listen to one song for the rest of your career.
That's tough. I thought this was for Warren. We the host.
You still playing, bro?
Shoot. College Dropout. Or I have to listen. I have to pick like one
song. So pick one
song.
Track.
One track.
So you have to split the album.
Closer to My Dreams, Drake.
Okay.
Some Drake.
You tapped in introspectively before the game.
Yeah, I just did the introspective.
Right.
Okay. All right.
My feelings real quick.
All right. So let's jump into one of our favorite segments of the show. No card, yellow card, red card. So this is a rapid fire segment where I'll read off a news headline. And our guest Warren as well as Amobi will give their opinions on this headline using the soccer card system. So no card is, I'm cool with it. I agree. Yellow card is I can go either way. And red card is, I disagree or I'm not cool with it. Straight foul, straight red. So Amobi is adding one here.
Yeah.
So we have two this week. First up, Washington football team is retiring Sean Taylor's number during this week's game, 14 years after his death, but also amid an NFL investigation of the team. So what card are we giving Washington football team for this move? Warren, you can go first.
Want me to take it? All right. It's on the line, but it's a yellow for me. Okay. I think, I don't know if it's to, kind of distract from the investigation. I don't know. Just the timing of it, I think is poor. If it is, a genuine thing, I think you just find a different time to do it. Obviously, he has a legacy and, you want to honor that, but right now around all this wild publicity, I just don't think you want to tie that into his legacy.
Yellow card, and the only reason I'm saying red card is because we can't prove for sure like they were in the room like, all right, how do we avoid this? Sean Taylor, let's put him in the Ring of Honor, like the timing is like Warren said, like, come on, timing could be better. Obviously Sean Taylor, not only just as a person, but historically and pop culture wise, changed the game for Washington Football Club or team or whatever they call themselves. And you gotta pay tribute to him. But yeah, the timing is just is fishy.
Super suspect. Yeah. Do better, Washington FC.
Yeah.
All right, next one. So FIFA has suggested hosting a World Cup every 2 years instead of every 4 years. Their president stated, if a Super Bowl can happen every year, why can't a World Cup happen every 2 years? So what card are we giving FIFA's suggestion of shortening this World Cup window?
I'm gonna go with another yellow. I get, even though I'm sure it's money driven, I get, giving more opportunities for, the peak of the sport to happen. But, I think traditionally that's what makes it so special. It only happens every 4 years, that you mess up on this cycle, like you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to go to that, and I think that's what makes it so important and makes it so coveted, that it doesn't come around all the time. Yeah, actually, man, we going red, man. I gotta keep it full, man. Get out of here.
Thank you. I was waiting. I'm like, these guys play enough games between Euros, and now they're adding Nations Leagues Cups and Champions League, Super League.
Yeah, man.
Keep the World Cup sacred every 4 years, similar to the Olympics. It allows for new blood to come in terms of new generational talent. It doesn't dilute the World Cup and the qualification process and all the stuff that happens and goes on. Keep it as is. Obviously, as we all know, money makes the world go round. But for stuff like this, I feel like you have to keep it every 4 years.
Yeah, man.
What car was that, Amobi?
Oh, sorry, red car. Yeah,
red car.
I had to go to VAR to get there, but yeah, for sure, red car.
Nice.
All right. Well, that's it for this week's No Car, Yellow Card, Red Card. Amobi?
Yeah, I do want to give a red card because, a lot of guys are acting super weird lately in terms of how they're treating women. Another case came out, Lucas Hernandez. I think he's going to jail. You can't follow a restraining order. So, guys, come on. We got to do better. Soccer players as role models. Didn't really want to leave it up to discussion. But, yeah, just wanted to point that out that stop being weird. Simple as that.
Yeah, protect women, respect women.
Exactly. So, Warren, my sincere apologies, man. I gotta come with breakfast for the team next practice. I gotta spin the wheel. Fine. It rarely ever happens, but I check my phone. I'm like, wait, what? Oh. So my sincere apologies. But for anyone that wants to connect with Warren, how can they connect with you? How can they tap into what you're doing?
Follow along on Instagram at Malik_Lebeau. I'm still kind of in hiding. And _Creavalle for the brand. And that'll kind of keep you up to date on what we got going on.
No, respect. So we're going to have all that information in the show notes, all the stuff that Warren is doing, all the wonderful things that he's doing. I know Elle has some announcements to make on, how we are helping support the Black Star Initiative and things like that. But that's our show for this week. Subscribe, rate, and review. It helps us get discovered. Follow us on the socials at 2Cents FC. Check out our merch at 2centsports.shop. As you can see, Elle is rocking everything, the hat, the shirt. And I know we got some more stuff coming on the way very soon.
New stuff dropping for the fourth quarter. Cozy season is upon us.
Cozy season is upon us.
Some new stuff.
Protect your hoodies at all costs.
Yeah.
If you enjoy the show, consider dropping us a donation using the link in the description. It helps support the show. It helps support us continue to get, awesome guests like Warren on the show. And tweet us your comments on the show, any topics you want me or Elle to discuss. As you guys know, we keep it unfiltered. Anything you guys would like us to discuss, we don't care. We talk about it. It's no Switzerland over here. So,
and real quick before we sign off, definitely tap in with the Black Star Initiative at blackstarsoccer.org.com. Which one is it? .com.
.com. We'll go with .com.
blackstarsoccer.com. Follow on the socials as well. I think it's blackstarus_. If you're in the Detroit area, last week, 29th through the 31st, and you're an elite player looking to get discovered, definitely pull up, register at blackstarsoccer.com to get on the list. We'll be showcasing and piloting the program out there during that weekend. 2 Cents Sports and 2Cents FC is proud to be, a media partner with Black Star Initiative. So definitely make sure y'all tap in and, check it out.
Yeah.
So
real quick, Warren, one last question. What city, because we usually ask people all right, best hotbeds for a talent. What city in terms of, our community are you most excited about in terms of putting resources in terms of talent? You grew up in Atlanta, you're living in Houston now. Obviously the first iteration is going to be in Detroit. What city are you if we tap into this community, there's going to be some talent to come out of here?
That's a good question, bro. I'm really excited to see, Detroit, just being, such a black city. Obviously, that's one of the big reasons why I'm starting out there, just to, be able to tap into that community and see, you know, they have a professional team, obviously. But I feel like there's a few answers to this, right? Being, you know, from Atlanta, you know, seeing, you know, the way Atlanta United has embraced hip hop culture, I think those were kind of seeds for a whole younger generation, and being able to kind of supplement that with, you know, some real supplemental programming, I think could be huge. And this may not answer, but a place where I've, you know, seen a lot of young Black ballers is, you know, in the city that I played in, Toronto, obviously outside of the US, but yeah, the amount of talent, you know, that kind of, you know, falls between the cracks that I've seen, you know, just playing pickup out there. I've just kind of been blown away. But yeah. Those are the probably the three places that I'd say. Yeah.
Nah, respect. Well, we're excited to see all the wonderful things that you're doing with Black Star Initiative, and we can't wait to help support and, you know, push this along. So once again, if you guys tap in, you know what to do.
Yep, everything will be in the show notes as well. So,
hey, fellas, appreciate y'all having me, man. It's been a blast.